Hello, folks. Welcome. It's Aaron from Value Vintage and my buddy.
Hey, everybody. Jason, Everyday Card Collector here. How you guys doing?
We are literally just hanging out. We've been chatting the last several weeks. Maybe once a week we just catch up on the phone or extended texting conversation, and like, why don't we just jump on and chat in person? It's fun. So here we are. There's really nothing planned.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is we've had several phone conversations and texts, and we said this would make a great live. So we said, let's just do it. And I think the topic is apropos. You picked the topic. I think that's perfect. We're coming up on it, and we can discuss, how last year's was versus what we're looking to do this year and things we're looking forward to and all that fun stuff. I figured that'd be fun for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And gonna definitely be fun to just see who else wants to jump in and share as we go through some of the topics and things. So
yeah.
Super
There's
fun.
my man Tony. Tony, how are you, my friend? We got some people creeping in. Now we jumped on early, so
yeah, we're probably officially at like launch time now. So yeah, this is fun. I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys.
Yeah, there's Keith. What's up, sir?
What's going on, crew? Yeah, we're this is first time. So anything we do that seems amateur hours, because it is. I'm just trying this out. So I don't know what I'm doing just yet. Usually I can record it, and if it's a mess up, I delete it. So
well, let's tell them the full truth. I was supposed to hold the live, guys, and I'm so technologically inept. I had my YouTube channel set up incorrectly, and in order to do a live, I needed to wait 24 to 48 hours. So I called Aaron and said, hey, you got to do this live. So my daughter yelled at me and then set up my entire channel for me. So.
Well, somehow I accidentally did it the way you're supposed to, I guess. So I don't know. I didn't do it on purpose, but somehow it turned out. Here we are. Yeah, that would have been fun if we had to back out of it right away. But sorry, guys, we're on probation. We're not allowed to do this yet.
So topic is Strongsville, and I know a lot of the guys in here are going. I know Tony is, I know Keith is, I know Matt is. I think we were going to talk a little bit. You lead the charge here. You want to talk about last year and then move into what we're doing this year and stuff?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because there's a few of us. I think depending on how you collect, Strongsville may or may not be, a destination for cards, or maybe it's a destination to just hang out and have fun, which is really my goal. So I was reflecting back on what I got last year. I picked up 5 items last year versus what I was thinking I was going to go to Strongsville and, be blown away and see everything on my list. And so I thought I'd just kind of compare that versus, REA and eBay and Facebook and all the other places that were searching and hunting for some of those rare, super fun cards.
Right.
So, do you want to share some of what, kind of what you did last year heading into Strongsville, what you were looking for and kind of your approach? Yeah. Was that your first year?
That was my first year. So basically, everybody knows how on top of the game I am, especially the guys who are in here watching right now. This was last minute of me gathering my cards, and I forgot about 5 cards because as we're chatting here, I'm looking at my last year Strongsville video. I'm like, oh, I forgot to grab that card. I forgot to grab that card. So we might just chat about those cards, or I'll grab them because they're behind me. But last year was my first year in Strongsville. I started my channel in December of 2023. Yeah. And so I had gone to the 2023 National roughly 6 months prior, June or July, and had been watching a lot of the guys who we're friends with now and was really interested in starting a channel. So I went ahead and did that in December, and Strongsville was my first interaction as a content creator, meeting other content creators. Before I was just a viewer. So I got there on, I want to say Friday morning before, it's a 3-day show, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I got there about an hour and a half before the show kicked off, and got to meet a bunch of people. I was the newbie at that point in time. I had already known a couple people. I knew Sammy. I knew Orlando. I knew, by watching them, I knew Mike Moynihan and things of that nature. But I met them officially for the first time at Strongsville. Met them all briefly at the National prior. but basically I was kind of lone wolfing it because I was, didn't really have a lot of deep relationships with these people yet. So I was lone wolfing it and just kind of clinged down to certain people. There were other channels at that time that started right around when I did. So Pastor Craig's Cards, him and I kind of linked into each other. I got to know Stephen with a PH very well. So there was a bunch of guys I kind of linked into. I met just everyone who went. I basically met it, so kind of lone wolfed it. Didn't have a plan on what I was going to purchase, but quickly found out that it was the relationships and the friendships that made that show so awesome. Yeah. So I try to tell everybody who hasn't gone to Strongsville yet, it's a great show for vintage because it's 99.9% vintage. There might be one or two tables with modern there, but it's not a big show. There are much bigger shows. So if you go to Philly, if you go to the Chicago Sports Spectacular, if you go to the National, if you go to Dallas, those are all much bigger shows. But this one is strictly vintage. So every table is important. You don't have to skim through tables. You're going to look at every single table. And it's small enough where you're running into everybody or literally standing next to somebody while they're purchasing something. So it's intimate. Now, that being said, and we'll get into this a little bit later, I think this year's show is going to be about tenfold of what that was. So I think it's going to be a lot more content creators, a lot more people. And this last year's show was the first year in the ice rink. They had moved it across the street. It was actually in the Best Western Hotel where most people stay, in their biggest conference room, if you will. Right. And now that conference room is where the meetup is going to be and the For Collectors Trade Night is going to be. And then right across the parking lot is the ice rink. But yeah, didn't go in there with a plan as far as what I was purchasing. I bought a lot of smaller stuff, and I don't have it all here, but I did buy I'll just kick off my two big cards. There were two cards. One card I saw, which I absolutely had to buy, and this was part of my White Sox run. It's my 34 Gaudy Luke Appling in a 4.5. I saw it there, and my intention was to purchase this card in a 2 or a 3, and it was such a beautiful card. Smaller dealer, not one of the main dealers that we all know, and I got a great deal and purchased that. That, along with 2 other graded cards, were the only graded cards that I bought, and the 2 other graded cards I purchased off of other people, a content creator and a mutual friend of mine and yours, Joe. So everything else I bought was ungraded. So what I will show is graded now. This was my biggest purchase, was my T206 Ed Walsh, part of my White Sox run as well. And it ended up getting a 2, which I was thrilled with. I didn't care. I thought it was going to get an A. It's creased up, Piedmont 150 back. This was probably my biggest purchase. And then I bought a lot of cards, a lot, when I say a lot, meaning a lot of cards from a dealer that Sammy knew, all ungraded. And I got to fulfill a lot of my 56 Hall of Fame run. So I bought the Rizzuto ungraded and it got a 4. I bought the Killebrew ungraded and it got a 4. And then I bought the Monty Irving ungraded and it got a 5.5.
Wow.
So those came from that particular dealer. I bought a couple 59s off of them. And I still have those ungraded, and I don't have them with me. And that was about it. There are 2 actually bigger cards. I bought if we're chatting, maybe I'll dig while you're chatting. I bought my 58 Topps. Is it the Foes, the Mantle Aaron, batting Foes? I bought that off of, God, I'm losing track of everybody now because there's so many names. Off of, it'll come to me who I bought it off of. Y'all know. So put it in the comments. I'm losing track of things. And then I bought a 55 Bowman Campanella off of Joe. So yeah, I mean, bought a ton of little stuff. Spent more money at Strongsville than I did at the National. And I'm most likely going to do the same thing this year. The National's going to be like a hangout for me, as will this, but I'll purchase more here. So.
Gotcha.
And you, how about you? I know you said, what did you end up picking up? I always forget, actually.
So yeah, it's funny. It was my very first video. So I was showing up there, and I kind of had like the channel set up. So I think it says I was set up as of early last year, but yeah, I hadn't made the jump yet. So all the meetup and all the stuff was super cool, but you're kind of it's a weird feeling because you know people, but they don't know you at all. So it's a pseudo celebrity kind of feeling. You're like, oh, that's that guy, and you're right. It's so neat to walk around the show and you just hear voices, and you're like, oh, that sounds like, and
Yep.
you know exactly who it is. You turn around and look one aisle over, and it's somebody you've been watching for the last 6 months and commented like crazy, but you haven't like met or seen each other in person. So it's a neat dynamic.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really cool things. I'm excited to actually put some like real faces and shake a hand and get to know people a little bit differently. So
yeah, this is going to be what I was last year, your first time making content.
Yeah,
but you're a little more in depth in it. You've done the lives, you've had plenty of time to do the lives and do the things that you needed to do. So like I was 6 months in, and I don't even know if I was if me and Sammy were doing anything yet at that point. I think it was after Strongsville we started to do that stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was to me it was awesome. It was by far like best show atmosphere because it was so small, so intimate. I hope it doesn't ever lose that. I hope as much as it grows, I hope it still has like a big little town kind of feel to it where everybody's just kind of one big community, because it was a really neat feel.
Yeah, it was fun. And I'm hoping, I'm curious, and I said it earlier and I'll say it again. The intimacy of it and what last year was perfect. Like I had, it's not hype. I had the time of my life. Met Warren. I see Warren there. Met a lot of these guys on here I met for the first time there, and had the time to talk to them, which is much different than the National. The National is so insane. You don't really get that. Mike Moynihan does that meetup, but there were people. Tony Southern Collector was at Mike Moynihan's meetup, and he's like, "Were you there?" I said, "Yeah." I didn't even know he was there.
Yeah.
Now he hadn't had a channel yet, but he was talking to Billy Ballgame, who I talk to all the time, and I'm like, I didn't even see that. So you don't miss that here. Everyone's going to be in the room. Everyone's going to know everybody, and it's going to be a lot easier. I met James. I met him as well. Sat with him, had a couple of drinks with him. And, as we're talking here, you haven't even showed your cards yet because I'm a blabbermouth. We met at Strongsville. So that's the first time we actually met, and have since, become friends and, support each other's channel, do all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that a lot of it's the chance to kind of come together and actually network and meet and make the connections. And for me, that's exciting. The cards, I think I'll probably be the same as I was last year. Honestly, I'll show you what I did pick up. Just to, we're talking about cards, you might as well show some cards, right?
Right.
But it's funny. Last year I picked up 2 from our friend Joe, my longtime best friend. So if you see me, you'll probably see myself. There'll be some guy with me you've probably seen on YouTube maybe once because he did do a sale on my channel. But that's about it. And then probably hang out with Jason a whole lot and whoever else wants to tag along and make it a big group, and we'll hit lunch and we'll
do our thing.
Look at some cards.
I'm actually driving. I'm driving Joe in, right? He's coming with.
Yeah.
We're driving in together. So
yeah, that's super cool. I'll probably be there. You guys are going Thursday, right?
Yes.
I'll be Friday at some point. So
perfect.
Thursday's a big work day, so I'll hop up Friday, and it's almost like a perfect midpoint. I think we almost planned it last year just so Joe and I could hang out. Right, well, it's halfway for both of us from Chicago and where I'm at. So
right.
It's a little inconvenient for both, but it's not a bad drive, so we'll both do it.
Perfect.
So yeah, but I snagged these 2 from him. Everyone knows I'm a museal collector, so he had, I think, an extra one of these, which is ridiculous, but autograph and everything. So I'll take a museal. And I think that's one of the other things with the community is you get to know like what people like and you look out for each other. So that was one of those. He's like, if you want it, at cost, like I think we all kind of do that. I'm not trying to make money on my friends. If I can pass on something that you'll appreciate even more than I do, it's a win. So The other one that I got from him, he has 2 of these. So now he has 1.
Jeez.
Which is,
Butterfinger Garrig.
yeah, Butterfinger Garrig. It's, pretty darn clean. The more I get to know these things, none of them are super clean. So getting one without a whole bunch of rips and stains was just fantastic. And yeah, can't go wrong. But to me, those mean that much more because you get it from, a friend. They, saved it for you. They didn't flip it and make $50. They saved it and made a deal with you. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I got those
Don,
2.
By the way, it was Don Field of Dreams where I bought that when I couldn't remember. There's Don, so I'm like, oh, that's who I bought it off of, Don. So,
nice.
So that worked out well. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would have lost
No.
that.
Perfection. Yeah, I gotta get caught up on this. Like I said, it's amateur hour here, guys. This is all me just being new at this. So definitely share, everybody.
The one thing I laugh at, and I think the mayor of Strongsville, Chris from Missouri, he's the one who kind of first really pumped this show. And his first time going, it was the much smaller show in the ballroom in the Best Western, but he had met up with Don, Scott, and a few others who have been going for years. And now the running joke is, did Chris ruin the intimacy for Don and Scott and all those guys already because it was twice as large last year? So it's I know Don has been going for a while. There's a few people on here who have been going for years. So
it's been a really long running show. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes. And I'm sorry, you still have one more to show, right?
Well, I have 3 others. Those were the 2. Okay. So I got 2 from Joe, and then I got 3, which is funny. I mean, the first one, I'm trying to think if it was my first card or if it was my second card. It was it was the first one I bought from a dealer. We'll go with that. And it's one of those, goofy little. It's showing in backwards, isn't it?
No.
No?
The Sisler. No, that looks good.
All right, it's good. All right. The Sisler is in E122. This was an interesting one. I sat and talked to the dealer about it to get a little bit more history. And I tried to look it up on SGC, and SGC shows there's none graded.
Really?
Well, heck. So, yeah, it's really interesting. But if you look at like I think it's 121, maybe they label it as card number E122. So like, okay, so it's actually this card. It's the most bizarre thing in the world. When you look up like the cert number.
Aren't the E121s and 122s the American caramels?
Yes.
So because that looks like a 121, because the 122s have the ornate border, right?
The 120s do.
The 120s have the okay.
Yeah.
But the 120s are from 1922, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. When you get like numbers and years,
it's starting
sequential. It's like, what are they doing?
Right.
Yeah.
It's twisting my head a little bit. I got to look that up again.
It's a brain bend. Yeah, for sure. This is a 1920. Well, I mean, at this point, I don't trust SGC. It says 1922. This, from what I understand, is the E122s are a copy of the E121, so they actually look a little bit grainy. This is one I should bring and like show you, just so you could have some fun with it.
Take a look at it with a glass and see what.
Your printing expertise.
Yeah,
you'd have some fun with that. But that was really one that I, Sisler card that I don't have. Of course, I'll pick that up when I see it, but that wasn't on my list. That was just kind of a random, like, cool find.
Right.
And the other one was on the way out that I want to say this was $250. And I saw it and I was like, dang, that's silly. I don't think I had this much cash on me. And I was like, so what can I do? I feel like I still think like it's 1984 card shows. And he's like, you could just PayPal me or Zelle me. I'm like, oh, damn, that's right. It's like 2024. I can do that. So I just sent him payment while I was standing there.
That's right. I remember that. I
grabbed the Campanella for like $250, which the back's not perfect, but it's pretty fantastic.
No, I'd take it all day long. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it wasn't graded. And then the last one that I did snag was from Mike Petty.
Yes, that's right.
And that was one he was walking around just trying to unload a couple things that I think he had upgraded that one. So he said, anybody want this thing? It's like, all right. So I was like, let me think about it. And I thought about it for like 9 seconds. And I was like, hey,
I'm in.
let's do it. Yeah. Yeah. I thought long enough and I don't want to be a fool. I'll do it. So that's all I got. I didn't go, like, there was no mega monster cards. There was no like dream grail card. There was no, take out a second mortgage kind of card. It was all kind of like really cool stuff, but nothing
Right.
on my list.
Well, so this particular show is different for how, to me, in my opinion, how you collect, right? So you still collect much different than me. You have influenced and inspired me to collect closer towards what you have, and we've talked about that, but I still am a golden era guy. I still love that stuff. You have a lot of it. I do not. I still want to acquire a lot of it. So this show, I don't think you're going to find, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you would know better than me, you're not going to find the super scarce stuff. It's all vintage, but I don't think, that real super scarce stuff there's not going to be like 5 tables with it. And tell me if I'm wrong on that. I mean, you'd have a better feel.
I think it's like anything else. I'm going to show the 5 cards that were on my list.
Oh, really?
And I mean, none were, I don't think any were there. One might've been in like way too high of a grade, and it's not the hardest card in the world to find, but it's one of those that when you get a higher grade, like I'm not breaking the bank for this card. I want it in a little bit of a more, collector.
Right. Now you're talking your list from last year.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a list of 4 that I think was kind of 5, and I think I've completed it.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy. Did you have you had nothing on your hit list from last year?
I don't go into shows with a list. I never have. I didn't do it at the the National in Cleveland, the Frat House National, just last one. I had one card on my mind, the 56 Jackie, and that was it. That's the only card that was on my mind. I looked at a bazillion of them. None of them really fit what I wanted, and I just walked around. And if I see something that I like, I'm that broad, right? I'm super broad like that, and I like so much of it that I'm not going to rein myself in. People are trying to like hone in their collection. I am not doing that. And I want to complete the 56 Hall of Fame run. I want to do the 59. But after that, I do find myself more and more purchasing more and more pre-war. And that's kind of the route I'm going, because I love it. I enjoy it. But I am the everyday card collector, right? So I am buying stuff that's affordable and stuff that fits a budget for me. This year will be my super big card. And it's big for me. And maybe we'll divulge. I don't know. Do I divulge that tonight, Aaron?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's epic if you do, but it's also fun if you don't. It's totally your call.
Yeah. We'll see as we get into the conversation. But yeah, I had nothing on my list. So, I mean, those cards that I picked up were specific to I'm working on 3 projects, 59 Hall of Fame, 56 Hall of Fame, and my White Sox. I fulfilled 2 big cards out of that White Sox run that I'm working on. And there's only 3 players left. And I might alter that run a little bit to make it that there's only, there were 3 players left now. So,
okay.
But I might change that up. And again, if you guys watch my channel, I purchased the last couple big cards that I purchased. I bought off of our friend Joe, so another mutual friend. And a big card for me is once you get to $200, I'm like, all right, I got to think about that, to me. Yeah. So, I bought my 55 Jackie off of them, and I bought my 22 Harry Hooper off of them. So,
yeah. Do you still need the 56 Jackie?
I do. And it's going to, so here's the fun thing about the 56 Jackie, depending on how this show goes, that was going to be like my middle card, kind of like, all right, got the big guy. Maybe I'll hunt for a 56 Jackie, maybe that's what I'll do, or a 56 Clemente, or, but you know what's going to happen if I'm walking around with you? I don't have any Lefty Grove. I don't have any 3-finger Mordecai Brown. I'm going to see a W517 and go, that's cool. And that's what's going to happen. And I don't care. I'm fine with that. I don't have specific goals. Like, I just go in, and if I like it, I buy it. And that's what it is.
Yeah. Maybe I'll bring a few more of those, because I'm kind of in a weird mode where I've got a whole box of things that I'm debating if I should bring for trade night. Some of it's $1 and some of it's maybe got a comma to it. So we'll see what people find interesting, I guess.
I think you bring a little bit of everything. right? I mean, so there are bigger collectors there, and we know who are the bigger collectors. I consider you one of the bigger, or getting to be a bigger collector.
They go way past me for sure.
Yeah, there are some, yeah. But then
Yeah.
there are guys, who are looking for, a lot of our friends collect like me, and $4, $5, $10, $15 cards. I bought a lot of that at Strongsville last year, and have a blast doing it. So I think you shot me a text not too long ago. You said, "Do you need any of these?" I have them all, but that kind of stuff is perfect. Bring it if you're looking to, looking to kind of trade or make a deal. There will be people out there who are interested.
Yeah, I'm open. I'll bring the box and just see what people think. So all good. Yeah, I brought some cards last year to show and just considering grading, and people are like, "You selling that? You selling that?" I'm like, nah, right. Those are keepers, but yeah, people are definitely open to considering deals for sure. So,
do these guys want to hear the boring story of how we met at the Strongsville show? I'll let you tell it.
I'll let you tell. I'm lining up. I've got my goal list cards to show, but that's the only thing.
Why don't you do that? Let's look at that. That's more fun looking at cool cards.
Well, yeah, I definitely want to. I definitely want to catch up on you sharing a little bit of that, and just who else maybe you connected with that was. I know you've made fast friends, and you've been connecting with people on a pretty national level.
Yeah, I'm a blabbermouth, right? So I just like to talk to people. We met because Joe approached me, and he approached me at the get together with you. Came up to, I think I was sitting with Sammy. I might have been sitting with Don, Field of Dreams. I think I was looking at his cards possibly.
I think you were, yeah.
Yeah, and Joe came up to me and said, "Hey, my name is Joe. I watch you." And that's the first person who ever did that in my life. I mean, at the time of Strongsville, I may have had 150 subscribers. So Joe came up to me and said, "I follow you." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I sit down, and I think I offered him. I'm like, "You want a beer?" I had some beers, and then he introduced me to you. You were like quieter than Joe. Like you were just kind of off on the side, and we kind of hung out, had a couple drinks together, chatted it up a little bit, and then the next day at the show, I ran into you guys again, and I think at that time Joe said, "My buddy Aaron is thinking about starting a channel," and I think we had already talked about some of the things that you had. Yeah. And then I think you showed me some of the things that you might have, and I said, "You have to start a channel." I'm like, your channel will just boom. And I said, "You have," and that's kind of what it was. And then as soon as you started, I just shouted you out and took it from there. Joe and I have since Joe and I live close to each other. Aaron grew up with Joe, and Aaron is now no longer close to me, but at one time was. That's why he's a Sox fan. So yeah. But we all have a lot in common. So crazy how much when I talked to you yesterday on the phone with names.
That's insane. Yeah, we almost have the same family. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
it's crazy. We didn't quite cover pets, but everybody else is pretty much exact. So
right.
Very cool.
But yeah, we ended up hanging out. I think I bought a card from Joe that afternoon. I've since gone to several shows with Joe. Joe helped Rick, Vintage Oddball Card, get his card at the last Chicago Sports Spectacular because I didn't go to the show, but he had bought off of Rick in the past. So
yeah,
Rick was that's my running joke. Rick was sitting on the couch in California and bought a card at the Chicago Sports Spectacular. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was and that connection was funny too because Rick was doing those who wants this kind of YouTube videos, and I must have caught it like 20 minutes later, and I shot it over to Joe, thinking like, well, I can't possibly buy everything, and I was like, have you seen this? He's like, I already sent him 6 emails. Let's see what happens. Like, all right, so what you're saying is I'm dead in the water. I got no chance. Got it. Okay. He's like, yeah, you're done, man.
Yeah. I missed out on one that I thoroughly regret. To find out at the last national, Rocket Rick J bought the card that I wanted. So I was happy once I heard that. I'm like, all right, I went to Rick. He's an awesome guy. But
I feel that so much. Like I feel that so much if I lose an auction or whatever, if somebody says like, hey, I want to go for that, I'm like, have at it, man. If it's one of my core ones, I might give you a little like, hey, that's on my list, man. But Sammy and I have had that happen where he's like, you interested in that one? I'm like, interested, yes, but I know that's a top tenner for you and it's a cool card for me, so go for it.
Right.
I think there's some, almost professional courtesy to that or something, It's
Well, that's the thing. In the manner that you collect, in the manner that Sammy collects, and certain people, Mangini, Rick, you guys are going to run into each other more at auctions. Like, that's not going to happen with me. I'm still buying stuff that's pretty prevalent and pretty common. I'm veering towards the more obscure, but I don't run in that field. Like, I've never purchased a card on an auction. I think Tony sent me an auction. I told Tony I'm interested in, after watching his Black Sox series, I'm interested in collecting that same set, the strip card set. And he's like, he sent me an auction. I'm like, I've never done this in my life. I've never bought a card off an auction. So
we got to get you in, man.
I think that might give you. And for the record, Tony, I don't think I called or texted back. I'm only pulling back on that only because of what's getting purchased at Strongsville. So otherwise I'd be in on that all day long.
Yeah, it is crazy. So those auctions, and one of the things that slides through a lot of times at those auctions, REA or eBay less so maybe, but you'll see these cards and you're like, well, there's all these, comic cards. And then there's this one that's like, maybe it's a $150 card. And then you see it ends at like 80 and you're like, why didn't I buy that? Oh my gosh.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
It happens all the time.
Slides through the cracks. And so then I think in my head, I'm like, well, that's my wheelhouse. Maybe that's where I be then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the relationship you mentioned, the relationships. Yeah, shoot, I built a ton of them there. Like, I mean, close, like friends, right? Yeah. I mean, most everybody who's on this live, as I'm in the chat, I consider a friend. I see, Don and Tony, and I haven't even met Tony. Yeah. This will be my first time meeting Tony. Greg, that was my first time meeting Greg, I think officially. Been watching Mookie. Oh no, actually, I talked to Mookie. Mookie wasn't at Strongsville. He was on a phone call with Greg, and Greg was walking Mookie around, and then I waved to him from the show, I think. So just a ton of friends, and then the national just enhanced that more with the frat house and meeting everybody there. And I just I've said it, I sound so dang sappy. The only reason I did this channel was for that reason, and to learn, right? I wanted to meet people. I wanted to, I love my collection and I'm proud of where it's going, but it's not. I stay within my lane. I do my thing, and it's more to hang out and meet, and I've done that, and it's working out awesome. I mean, we're doing this because of it.
Yeah, yeah. Without it doesn't happen. So yeah, it's cool connections. Greg's comment, it's so funny because my favorite hot dog place is Costco. So, Joe, he's obviously going to keep to the budget. And when you're in Strongsville, you can either go have an expensive lunch or you can buy more cards. So we had lunch at Costco. Everyone else is like, we're going out. We're not YouTubers. We don't know anybody really. We're like these like little super fan people walking around that like know everyone, but no one knows us. Like, go hit Costco. I'm like, heck yeah, man, let's do it. So like we're $4 later. Let's go back to the show. Let's keep buying. So it's just what we do.
That's Joe though. I will tell you that's not happening this year. We're going to lunch. So, and if I have to pay, then I'll pay for lunch.
Well, Costco is not far. I do know that. So
okay.
It's valid.
I could definitely do that run. I could do it one day.
Yeah. It's not bad.
I do my Starbucks run in the morning. That's a must for me. I get up early and I go hit the Starbucks. So that has to happen.
Yeah. All good.
Yeah, we met a ton of, I met a ton of people. Like, I've used this analogy a lot because when he said it cracked me up. Mangini said it to me in a chat. He said, YouTube years are like dog years. And they really are. Like a lot of these guys who I met at Strongsville, I feel like I've known forever, to include you and Joe and Warren. And, I feel like I've known these guys forever. You guys in particular. But so to say who'd you meet, I have to recall. I'm like, who did I really meet? Dave Peacemaker Cards is another guy who I met for the first time there. Just everyone. And now it's going to be a whole new, there's like 15 new channels coming, 15 to 20 new people who have started channels in the last several months, 6 to 8 months that are going.
Yeah.
Is Joe's not going, Redneck Collector. He's got something with his son, I think.
He's not. Yeah. Yeah, he's got an event, so he'll be missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few of the folks that I'm connected to pretty well. Josh won't be there. There's a few folks that are Mark's not going to be there. So there's definitely some good friends that are, more than just YouTube comments kind of thing, kind of relationships. But unfortunately, we'll have to connect at another time.
Doug will be there, right? Joe Wood, Joe Wood Collector. That's where I met him.
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah. Well, it cracks me up. You met a lot of these guys, right? But was it briefer because you didn't have a chance? Like, you knew Matt, right? The Card Story. You guys met at. Did you meet?
I don't think we did.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I'm not sure, and it's funny because for the most part, it's that weird dynamic. Like I met Greg, I met Darren, I met Theo, I met Mike Moynihan. Hanging out with Chris for a while. He was looking at a Joe DiMaggio, but it's just one of those things. It's like it's some person saying hi to me for 30 seconds versus now you've got this. You do get to know somebody, so it's very, very different.
Yep.
This is the next level. So it's going to be neat. I'm excited to have the extra connection and. Even folks that I might not know their face because they are frequent commenters. A few people have found me on Facebook, and I was just actually messaging back and forth with somebody that does not have a channel, but we're in the same little network of communications. And he's like, "Is this you?" Like, yeah. So we've been chatting back and forth. So
that's cool.
It's fun. Yeah, it's really fun. He actually got the same super weird card that I just got too. We both got. He's like, "Have you ever seen this?" I'm like, "I have it on the way." He's like, "Me too." So it's crazy.
I haven't seen it yet. Then, if it's on the way.
Well, I just got it. It's somewhere. I'll show it. Yeah, it's not even close.
I'm trying to think what super weird was for you.
It's an 80s card.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if I can't even reach it. It's back there somewhere.
You're fine.
Yeah.
But so back to you had a plan. You had a list of cards.
I had a very specific list of 4, I think maybe 5. And yeah, it's crazy. I think only one was there. So this is how bad I am with Strongsville. And I'm glad I did this. Pre-Strongsville, this was one of my 4. And it came up on Facebook and I was like, you know what? That's exactly the version I want. So I'm just going to do it. So I kind of ruined my Strongsville. My budget going to Strongsville was like whatever I could find in the car, like between the seats and couch cushions and stuff. Right. But I did land that.
Jeez. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that climbs a budget real quick with the name on the bottom there.
Yeah. So that's little Babe Ruth. I really wanted this one exact, the 516 2-2. I'm not sure how many of them have the reverse image, but I love that he's throwing righty.
Right.
And I guess also if you look at it, it's also hard to find cards where he's listed as pitcher.
Correct.
And they put it as Yanks, which I just think is cool. So that's like everything that I look for in a card. So I landed that before Strongsville. And then just after, another Facebook, I didn't see this card there at all. I looked everywhere for this card. That was on the list. Old Cy Young.
Yep.
So that was another not small one. And I couldn't have acquired, in any realistic world, I was not going to acquire all these cards at once. So they were just kind of all on the list. So that was another tough one. E94 is a brutally tough set. So I was super thrilled to find that. Sorry, I got to keep clicking here. This one I think was there, but I had to find one that was rough enough that I could afford it.
You had to find that value vintage.
Yeah, well, these Addy Josses and T205s, you either get like the edges all frayed up and super rough. This one's got like a clipped edge, which is fine. And then I seem to always find these ones where people write their gosh darn name on the back. So somebody wrote their name on the back.
But the front's pretty clean, actually.
Yeah, everything other than that little clip corner, like that's a nice looking card to me. And this is funny because somebody beat me out on this ungraded. And then they sent it in to be graded. Then they put it back on eBay for auction. And I won it for less than he wanted originally from him. So I almost felt bad.
Really?
Like I lost it. He goes and has it graded, puts it back out there, and it goes for like $50 less. I'm like, all right, so that's a win.
That is a massive score. Like, that's fantastic.
I feel bad because it's probably somebody watching. Like, damn it, you're the one that got it.
You're the guy that I lost 50
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah. You're the reason my kids didn't have a good Christmas. Like, I'm hoping it's nothing like that. Hopefully it's just, you win some, you lose some, and that's kind of how it goes.
Right.
Especially these scarce cards. Like if you want it, you jump. I didn't jump far enough the first time, so I got lucky the second time. It's just all luck. This other one was like not quite in my top 4, but I've shown that a lot. But I was kept looking for these. I don't think I saw one at Strongsville. So
I was gonna look for those as well.
I don't think they're there. They pop up on eBay sometimes, but I didn't see any there. Which is just, it's tough because when you're collecting like this, you end up with kind of whatever you can find. You don't get to necessarily say it's going to be at the show because it's a super tough card that there's 2 of available in the whole country. I don't know. It's tough.
And that's the best one out of that. What is it? A 6-card set, 5-card set?
6. Yeah.
6, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's by far the best. And I somehow found that one as a fairly decent grade.
Yeah. That's like a 10 for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 3 is, that's overachieving. And most of these, I would say, I'd hold out for a 1 because this didn't go for cheap, but the color and everything else to that, like that's one of the few where I'm like, I would actually pay to get a nicer version.
Right.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. I know you depending on the card, you will step up and lean towards a nicer version. I know that.
Yeah. Rarely, but the only other one that was on my list has been on my list for the entire year, for more than a year. I've been looking for this card and I couldn't find it. And finally did. So my entire Strongsville list from last year is done. And I think I sent you this. I know I sent you this. I've only sent a few people this, but I've had this one for a while and shared that. The M101-4 Sisler rookie card.
Monster card. Monster.
Yeah. Well, Matt and I were going back and forth. We're like, how funny is it that he's the second best 340 hitting left-handed hitter who was also a pitcher who has a rookie in the M101. Like
right.
Him and Ruth both in the same set is so ridiculous. But
all of his massive accomplishes, and he's still like second banana.
yeah, it's pretty brutal. But this is the one, the -4 is the one where he's listed as a first baseman, and I thought it was so super cool to try and find a version where he's listed as a pitcher, which is extremely rare, but I finally scored it. So for me, that was like Grail-esque. I mean, it's, I'm not going to get a Wagner. I'm not going to get a T206 Plank. So for me, that was a big deal to find. I knew these were hard to find. I actually didn't. I'm bad at homework, I guess. I didn't really realize how tough they were. PSA's graded like 12 and SGC's graded like 5. Yeah.
Right. So, isn't that what we were talking about were we talking on the phone? Right?
Yeah. But I could have swore there would be, 30 or 40 of them. There's like 17. So I'm like, all right.
Well, so that's what I think. I think I had said that. You said, well, they're not scarce. And I said, what's not scarce for you? 30 or 40? You're like, yeah. And then I think you looked it up and said, oh no, there's only like 12 and 5. Yeah.
It's pretty tough. So that was my last on my list. So really I've made the whole list from last year. But I mean, my message to anybody else would be don't save the budget if you're collecting like me. If 50s, 60s, some Gaudis, some T206s, like, yeah, that's going to be there for sure.
Yep.
And could be good deals, could be not. I think the community is going to bring a lot with the YouTubers. I think the trades, I think what we bring is going to bring a lot to the weekend. That
was a discovery for me. So Don brought a big bag of cards, and I found myself, I think before I made my first purchase in the show, I was buying at the get together, which was Friday night, I think. So I think
I
Friday,
think so.
I don't think I bought anything on Friday. I think I went in on Saturday, and that's when I hit. But I was buying from other content creators, and I have since after that show have said it several times on my channel. If you're going to one of these, expect that you might be picking up cards there too. And I didn't expect that. I didn't that took me a little bit by surprise. You know, I was like, oh goodness, you know. B Roth was there. I bought off of B Roth. I bought off of Don. Um, you know, I'm sure Joe's bringing a bag of stuff, and he
Yeah.
purposely finds he knows what I need and what I want, and he'll just bring it. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I've got a line. I mean, and the reality is, I'm Sammy, and I bought a ton off of Sammy in the last year, and he's like, pay me at Strongsville, so he's bringing it all to Strongsville, and I count that as part. You know, I've got a 53 Musial with tab Redman that I bought. Sammy picked up, and I bought off of him, so I already, you know, that's a Strongsville purchase for me. I'm gonna pick it up
Yeah.
at Strongsville.
Yep.
And then he's got a stack of other stuff, smaller stuff that I said, yeah, I want that. You know, I think one of them's like a tall boy JoJo White rookie card, because he was with the, you know, he went to University of Kansas, who by the way are losing right now. I'm keeping track of the score here, but yeah. So I mean, just little stuff like that. But so that all counts. And then I mentioned it a couple times. I have a line on a card that it'll probably be my biggest card ever that I'm most likely, well, most definitely purchasing. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
And we can get into that if we want to. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, I don't care either way.
Totally your deal at that point. Yeah, it's talking targets. Do you want to share any targets that you're looking for?
So I only have one target, and that was it.
So realistically,
again,
that's
I typically don't go in with a target, but that kind of worked itself out. What's the difference, right? I guess I could spill the beans, right? I'm still gonna do. Yeah, what's the difference? This is fun. So it's our first live, right? So,
yeah,
all
that's
right.
true.
So all of you who have watched, I don't even know how many guys are watching. Do you have a count on how many guys are watching?
I don't know how to even do
20, 30. I don't get it because I'm not hosting it.
Before, I don't know how this works. Yeah, this is all new to me.
Right. So yeah, my one of my biggest goals in collecting, and once I started to dive in the pre-war, obviously a huge goal of mine. And let me shout this out to Keith Lonely Basement, because we were on Cardboard and Cold Ones, and I mentioned I've got a big card, a line on a big card, and he guessed who it was, and I told him, no, you're wrong, just to throw him off track. I've always wanted a Plain Days Babe Ruth card, right? That's tremendous to me. So I've been diving into pre-war, and I really fell in love with the cash-in set. Like you like the W570. I love the cash-in set. I bought a Red Faber. Those might be targets for me, is some of the cash-in cards.
Mm-hmm.
But my big target was the cash-in Ruth. So that was my big card. And a few people on here on this live, like yourself and Matt, knew that and would occasionally send me one. Well, I've been saving for it. It gets into a comma. So that's a big card for me. So I have to purposely put money aside for that. So I've been saving for it. And one came up about, I don't know, 6 months ago? 4 months ago?
Yeah, a couple months at least. But yeah.
So one came up. I think Matt sent it to me. And, you know, I didn't have the money. I think you may have sent it to me.
Yeah, I did.
It was on Facebook, and you had sent it to me. And I said, I can't do it right now. I just can't do it. So everybody, you can, this is the craziest story in the world, in my opinion, and I love it. So it's a great story. So you ended up buying it, and you already have that card. You already have the cash-in Ruth. And I had told my wife, I said, there's one online. I've had a couple friends send it to me. I just don't have the money right now. And I told her before I even knew you bought it, I said, goddamn, Aaron's going to buy that thing. I know he is. And I said, I know he is. And so when you had sent me, you said, hey, no pressure. I bought the card. I said, I knew you would. And I'm so for all of those who are listening now, I already have it. I am purchasing my 29 Cash and Ruth off of Aaron. And Aaron had 2 of them. And Aaron said to me, no pressure at all. I'll sell it and I'll make my money, if not more, on it. And I said, well, you know dang well I want it. So yeah, talk about a good friend. I think Greg said that. That's crazy. And Aaron did it with in mind where, well, if Jason doesn't want it, he'll make money on it. But the reality is he knows. So it's almost like Aaron was my layaway, so I have to thank him for that. So it is allowing me to get into a card that I'm super, super excited about. So yeah. That's my Strongsville purchase, guys, and it's already done as soon as I hand him the money on Friday. So
it's sitting next to me right now, so it's exciting to have it. So
yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful example. And for the record, do we say where you got it from? I don't think it matters, right? The dealer? Yeah, the dealer was Howard Chasser. So a lot of you are familiar with Howard. Howard was selling it online. So I don't know. I don't even know if Matt knew that that it's the same card, because Matt sent it to me separately, and then you sent it to me. And so Matt actually sent me the exact same card, and then you sent it to me shortly after him, I think. So
it was such a good deal that that was, if it was a fair price. And again, it's one of those things like you sift through, and sometimes you're like, fair price. And you saw that one, and I was like, dang, what is wrong with this thing? And I started looking at it. I'm like, normal stuff, but nothing crazy. It's not
beautiful.
Offensive. It's a nice looking card. So
yeah, it's beautiful. For the record, it's ungraded. So yes, Mookie's right. I will spend the rest of my time looking for Harold Baines cards. So that's about what I'll be able to afford after that, Mook. The thing is, the running joke that I have, and Aaron, you know this specifically, I don't like having debt or owing people. So that was a big step for me. Joe, our buddy, does it to me every time he sees me. I told him last time, I said, no, I'm not buying any cards off you. Don't even bring them. I said, just stop. Because, so I mean, I got the Harry Hooper off of him when I was saving for the Ruth. So all of that good stuff. So yes, Aaron is a great friend. And that was an awesome thing. And I didn't even know what to say. And it's amazing. So I'm pretty pumped. So
I'm excited we were able to, work this out. It just adds to the story. If you would have bought it, it would have been, a cool story that we helped you find it. But it's cool to be a little extra help. So I was able to.
It's fantastic. So now everybody knows when I say I'm in savings mode, they know why now. They're like, I'm not out buying stuff. So, I've been showing the cards that I've had for years on my channel because of that. So, but super, super excited. I really fell in love with that card. Matt bought it at the National, and I got to watch him buy his. We were with Dave, Legends of the Dugout. Adam's Vintage Sanctuary was there. I think John 3D80s Kids was there too. Thanks, Keith. So we were super. I got to see that card, and I just totally fell in love with it. I'm like, that is awesome. As most of you know, I prefer image over artistic rendition. So that black and white, I think, is phenomenal. So
no, I think it's awesome. And I keep teasing. I mean, on my list is the Cash and Garrig that I don't have. So I keep throwing these out there. I'm like, check out Jimmy Fox, check out Melot. I'm looking at this year. I don't have a whole lot of targets, but a Garrig would be cool if I can find one, but it's got to be brutal enough that I can swing it and not, give up too many other cards for it. So that's the tough thing. Yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing about that particular set. For those who don't know, it was a 4-series set. It came out in 4 different series, and Ruth was printed in every series. So it's not a scarce card by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a plain days Babe Ruth card. So it still obviously comes at a premium because of that, but it's not like crazy scarce or anything of that nature. To me, it's the best looking affordable Ruth. And when you say affordable Ruth, you're talking under several $1,000s. When the Sinella is obviously another great one. A lot of people don't like it. I do. And the one that I missed on with Rocket Rick J and Rick Vintage Oddball Cards was it's the Bulgaria with him and the boxer Max
Schmeling.
Max Schmeling. Yeah. So that was it. So and to me, those like I think I will add all three of those cards, and then I have 3 Plain Days Ruths. I know you're trying to swing me towards the Butterfinger, so but maybe I'll have 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean,
They're beautiful.
anything Butterfinger is just fantastic. There's a Butterfinger I'm watching right now on eBay that's, I think I'm in the lead at $44. I mean, they go so cheap for such a cool item. I mean, it's not a Ruth, it's not a Gehrig, but it's still a Hall of Fame player. It's super cool. So I
bought my first Hall of Fame Butterfingers for $27.
Yeah.
I'm picking one up Sunday for $30 at a card show, which I told you about already. So.
Yep. And that's one I don't have, so I'm jealous. So
yeah.
Great.
Well, then I'll add it as a gift, so you can have it.
No. None of that. No, like I said, you can buy me lunch, and I don't care if it is Costco. I'm good at that. So,
thank you, Don. Don is thanking me. They should be. You guys should. Aaron's the guy who, and for all in all reality, I didn't know Aaron was going to do that. I had a sense he might, but you never said, "Hey, I'm just going to get it for you." That never came up. You just said, "Hey, I bought it," and.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not spending your money at that point. So it's,
right.
I figured I'll snag it. And if nothing else, I have 2, and, one has a little wavy line, one doesn't. They're variations, I guess, maybe. So
right. It's like the partial diamond.
Yeah. So, it's gray back, white back kind of stuff. So
right.
You can find a reason to make that work. So yeah, all good. Oh, I'm excited.
You freeze up on us? There you go. You froze up for a second, I think.
Oh, okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I keep. What is Keith saying? I keep looking at the W517 portrait on the bottom is cut above the reprint. Yeah. I think the cashing's the best way to go personally. If you don't, a lot of guys don't like the Sonella, and I love it. That was gonna be my route. I almost pulled the trigger on one at last year's Strongsville. I was walking the floor with Steve, Vintage M Vintage, and John P. Collects, who I've also I met Steve, Vintage M Vintage here. We've become very good friends.
Yeah.
But I almost bought, and I think it was Ash's. I think Ash had one at a good price. So those are crazy inexpensive to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was 5 years ago, that would have been.
I know. Right. Yeah. Right.
It would have been a tenth probably of what they are now. But yeah,
it's you still have that. Don't you have that?
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah. Didn't you had 2 or Joe had 2?
Joe had 2.
Joe had 2 because I almost bought one off of Joe.
Yeah. So they're moving. But
yeah, I will say this too. For as much as we all talk and we're all friends and everybody who makes content, you make content. There are a lot of amazing collections out there of people who don't make content, and Joe is one of them. That guy's got a crazy cool collection.
Yeah,
just a lot of good stuff.
Super rare, super stuff you've never seen, stuff that there's 2 or 3 of.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where he lives. So yeah, it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah. So what are you targeting? So we let the cat out of the bag. So I kind of had a hunch that'd be fun to do it here because I've been telling people behind the scene anyway. So
yeah, well, and for me, I've never shown this on the channel. This was literally that's brand new. So that my Sisler, that was kind of my like grail. Everything I would show, I'm like, I'm just missing that one. Greg makes a good point. There is back variations, and I feel like that's where you get into some of the labeling things because they stop calling it like an M101, they start calling it the back. So you end up with like a clothing maker or something like that where it's getting credit that way. So there could be dozens more, but there's definitely not hundreds of them, and it's not a super easy card to find. Sales wise, population wise, they're so tough. So the one that I've been targeting and I search daily for now that the Sisler's off the list, the Cash and Gehrig will happen eventually. There's enough of them out there.
Yeah.
So for me, that's one of those things you can look at, every few days. If it's in auction, you can be in the running and go for it. It's cards like I'm looking for an M116 Walter Johnson. To me, that's one. And I kind of bring up, a couple things. It's going to be that set, just like the Cy Young.
Yep.
But it's going to have the cool Walter Johnson issue, image and everything else to it. So for me, it's like that low pop tough to find. There's been one on eBay for a while now. It's $195,000 because they're crazy, and it's a 9.
Right. Right.
That's just bragging card at that point. They're not really
Right.
trying with
Ain't
it.
selling it.
Yeah.
Is that the Sporting News set? The 116? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Sporting Life.
Sporting Life. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I know you know the numbers. I only know I have to I have to recall.
It is funny how different people associate things in different ways.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I know Joe loves that set. He loves that set as well. So he's a big fan.
It's cool. The crazy thing, like this that's a 2. I guess it's decent. But the backs are so like clean and crisp, and the print is always so intense, and like I love that. It's hard to believe something that's a 1911, and the back of it is just crystal clear.
That's phenomenal. Actually, you're right.
So I get caught up on stuff like that. I think that's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
And then I've got one other from that set, Frank Chance, and it's the exact same thing. I mean, that's a 3, but like the backs are just so gosh darn intense. I love it.
How are a little more affordable than, or a little more expensive than in comparison to like T206s, I'd imagine, because I don't really know much about the pricing on those.
And maybe someone can give me more insight onto all of that, but there's different backs to some of these sets, and you'll notice, at least what I think I'm observing is, a blue back and a pastel. It almost like it flip-flops. Like one player, the blue back is the expensive one, another player, the pastel. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just not looking at it close enough, but it seems like it's inconsistent. You almost have to look at who it is.
Okay.
Right now, I think REA has a Christy Mathewson blue back. And so like, that's probably going to do some damage. That's going to be some thousands.
Right. There's going to be several number or larger number in front of the comma.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least it'll be a 3 or a 4, whereas like a T206 in that shape would be $1,500.
Right.
But then others like Frank Chance probably goes for the same price as a T206.
See, I think that's cool. I mean, and where we're from, he's significant in Chicago, so I think that's cool. One of the things that I've always thought, and some of, I guess, I said I don't have a target. There are, I like to purchase things. I want a broad collection. If I like a set, I want a card from the set. I love the Colgan's Chips, and I want a Colgan's Chips card. Yeah. Initially, my big card, till I fell in love with the Ruth Cashin, my big card was going to be the Cy Young Colgan's Chip. Mm-hmm. I really like that. So maybe that's something I buy, a smaller one. You can get them in lower grades for $200. I think I saw at the National. I don't know if it was Home Run Baker for like $200 in a 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
that's funny. I have a Home Run Baker. That's funny you say that.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about a year and a half ago, I saw someone. They were all 1s. All 3 of them were 1s, SGC graded. It was the Evers Tinker's Chance, and he wanted like $550, and I'm like, that's a good price, man. And I thought, and it was a while ago. It might have been a year and a half ago. And things that but back then I was going, I'm not spending that kind of money. I just spent $500 on a 56 Mantle, and right. But now hindsight, I'm like, I should have pulled the trigger on that. I really should have.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. Let me catch up here. I'm over here just having a good old time. Let's see what else we got.
Any Target cards in the chat? Andrew, I don't see much of my Target. I love that.
I love the wit.
My current Target list is 30 strong. I'm trying to narrow it. Price will likely be the main filter. Yep. Yeah. Price is my main filter. That's going to be mine. If price wasn't an object, I'd be standing next to Petty buying Petty cards. I just can't do that.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I do feel like the deeper you get in, the more you go to the shows like that, and you try and find the 1 or 2 that are like, they pop out. I think the crazier thing too, the more I look at is, like, where was that? Like that is, there's 8 of them, 10 of them. Like there's not a lot, and it's still only like hundreds.
Right.
So it's not as though finding like the most scarce card in the world has to be, a car kind of cost.
Right.
It could be a car payment. It could be not a huge deal.
Well, I found, what I find so great about that, when we just did, if you guys haven't seen it, now shameless plug, we just recently did a Mount Rushmore episode on my channel for the Houston Astros. And Brent, his knowledge of that era of cards is phenomenal. And you were just saying it could be a car payment, not a car. Brent was showing cards and he's like, there's 3 of these in the world, and I'm like, that's cool, man. That and the cards he was showing were just beautiful. I'm like, that's a perfect example of scarce doesn't have to, cost a fortune. You can find, if depending on what you're collecting, you can find something affordable. Same with pre-war. We pump that all the time.
Yeah.
Pre-war does not have to be expensive. It really doesn't. Receiver rookie. Nice. That's Dave Peacemaker. Did you meet Dave? I don't know if you met Dave at Strongsville last year.
Probably not.
Did he start I think he started it right before Strongsville last year, maybe. So.
Yeah. There was. I feel like when I walked into the room, I knew some, but there was a lot of folks I was still getting to know, and
right.
I still am. Yeah, it's just kind of how it goes. Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, a whole new generation of channels coming this time around too, so that'll be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be fun to see some new people there, and yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, very, very fun.
So yeah, I don't know what else. We're just gonna hang out. My target list, your target list. I don't have one. Yeah, everybody knows it now. So my target's been fulfilled. I hit the bullseye thanks to my friend Aaron.
Yeah. I'm super pumped for that. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we were gonna save it for like a live after, and I'm like, if we're doing it here, I'll just spill it now. What's the difference, right?
It's all good. Everyone there is gonna see it when you're walking around with it anyway.
Right.
You don't turn it into grade immediately.
I'm debating. I guess I grade it? I guess I grade it, right? I guess. I don't know. That's a whole nother. For those who don't know, because I keep a lot of those opinions to myself. Maybe Mangini's got an influence on me or something. I'm straying away from grading a little bit. Like, I've been buying a lot of ungraded stuff. I always have. But, I was on the grading kick. Certain cards I want graded. My 56 Hall of Fame run I want graded. But I've started the 59 Hall of Fame run and have a good chunk of it knocked out, and most of it's not graded. And I'm probably going to keep it that way. So, so I don't know. I think because that's a big card for me, I'm most likely going to. Just for several reasons, protection, things of that nature. But
topic for another day. I mean, that's something Joe and I keep chatting about. He's wondering, like, will AI eventually have something where you pop the card in? I mean, you're seeing people doing that online right now. Like, the centering is 54.1 and 45.9. You're like, well, at some point it's not going to be speculation. They're going to be able to run a scan over that and say, like, there's a little indentation here and it doesn't go through to the back, therefore it's classified as a 3.26.
Yep.
And you're going to crack them all out and be like, my 3 turns out it's actually a 3.9 and my 1 is actually a 0.8.
Right. I think the killer with that is what establishes the scale, right? What's the tick? But because everyone's got a different scale. Because I think tag, if you're familiar with tag, a lot of it is automated grading. Most of it, it's like 99, and it's like 100-point checklist. So it's already starting to get to that point. And I've seen those on Facebook and on Instagram where there's an app now where you can get your centering dialed into the T and it shows the arrows and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So at what point in time does having some guy sitting in Boca Raton, Florida, or out in California looking at the card, when does that become obsolete is the question.
Yeah. I think part of it for me is the risk of things being sent, the return. So, like, this is never going to leave my collection. So whether they call it a 1.5, a 2, a 0.9, whatever it may be, it doesn't really impact me. I think you made a really good point on this when I showed you this the other day, and you're like, that's actually really nice. I'm like,
that's clean.
It's actually a pretty nice one. So maybe it is like a 2.5 when
I bet you it's a 3. I'd say 3 or a 4.
Yeah, it's definitely not a 4. But at the end of the day, whatever number they put on it doesn't impact me. So I think that's part of my formula is, like, if they give it a 9, I mean, then I'd probably sell it because I could buy a house.
Right.
But as long as they have it somewhere between like what I thought and a little better or a little worse, it's going to sit on my shelf and be my display until the kids have to worry about it. So,
right. Well, that's my point. Even with the Ruth.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's an A. I don't care if it's a 1. I don't care if it's a 1.5. I don't care if it's a 2. I have it. I don't care.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, well, then why even bother, right? And my only justification for getting that card graded is to get it protected. It'll be the card that I'm most nervous about getting returned to me. If I grade it there, I don't, if that gets lost in the mail, I'll lose my mind. So I've never had to really think about that because most of what I purchased is $50, $100, $150, I don't think I've ever gone much higher than $200 from eBay or any online purchase. Anything above that, I've bought myself at shows. So, although I guess the Ed Walsh, they graded the Ed Walsh for me. So that's above the $300 mark for me. But that's probably the biggest card I've ever had graded. So, and it's still nowhere near the $800 range or anything like that.
Yeah, I think I've had like three lost in the mail.
Have you really?
Yeah,
I don't like to hear that.
and some are. I mean, one was a 77, my birth year, Mike Schmidt autograph card.
Oh.
So that was a bummer. One was the really sad one was the Lake to Lake Warren Spahn.
Oh, really?
Autographed.
Oh,
it was the only one in existence.
Is that recent?
I probably stopped crying recently, but it was a while ago. It was some months ago.
We were talking about that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That hurt me in a deep place. Yeah, I paid up for it because I'm like, there's one of these, and an autograph is cool, and it was decent enough shape and good eye appeal to it and all the stuff. So I'm like, I'll do it, and then it's lost. It's like that's crushing.
That's crushing, and this would be crushing. That's the one reason I wouldn't grade it. I'm like, okay, it's never going to leave my possession. It's going to stay in my possession. But
it's tough to know. I mean, the other one was a Propaganda Mondial Joe DiMaggio.
Well, that's a big one too. That's crazy big.
That was actually the most expensive of them.
Yeah, that's crazy big.
Yeah, that didn't turn out so well either. So, whoops. So it does happen. But yeah, I mean, whatever you're called to. I'm glad people collect in different ways. If everybody collected just like one of us, then that would be really boring and super competitive. So, Oh
yeah, I don't judge people for grading. I don't judge people for what they grade. My typical question is, if someone asks me, should I get the card graded? My answer is, well, do you want to grade it? That's typically my answer. Like, is it something you want graded? Does the number mean something to you? If it means something to you and you think it's going to be less than what you want it to be, then don't grade it. But if the number doesn't mean anything to you and you like it in the case, grade it. So I don't. A lot of people were grading. I think Matt was on the CSG train when he got into the hobby, or CSG, CGC, whatever they are. He was grading a lot with them, and I love their holder. They've got the best holder in all of grading, in my opinion. Clearest plastic, beautiful holders. I don't judge on that. You grade with who you want and what you want. So.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing for down the road. I mean, that's definitely going off the Strongsville train, but that's a good topic for a different day, is just thinking about the idea of what's grading going to look like in 5 years or 10 years. And,
that should be, maybe we'll do another live at some point in time, and we'll that'll be a topic. Discussion. Even asking I know that could get dangerous.
That'll bring the hate. Yeah.
I want to make sure Mangini's watching that one.
That'll be a fun one. Yeah.
But I mean, I've got those Butterfingers and they're so sensitive, and I'm like, okay, do I grade these? And they're not expensive at all. Like I said, the Vernon Lefty Gomez was $27. I don't care what it's going to grade. It's going to be an A or a 1.
Yeah.
But I don't, is my top loader strong enough for it? I feel better if it's, and then it becomes, I typically don't grade. I very rarely grade with PSA. It would be PSA because I don't like that big giant TV dish that SGC puts them in.
Yeah.
So that all becomes part of the part of the conversation of what to grade, when to grade, and what you want to grade.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was pretty convinced. Talk about destinations in Strongsville. I was pretty sure I was going to go there and have another. I think I've graded 20 cards twice. And it's funny, YouTube algorithm and what people want to see, and what keeps people interested. Some of the biggest videos I've had are SGC reveals, but I may never have another SGC reveal.
Right. I know.
Ever. So I guess I'm bad at this YouTube thing, but that's okay. It's really just about connections anyway. So,
well, yeah, Joe Redneck Collector, his one went viral, and he kills it with his reveals, and it's just not something I don't grade enough to even have them. I've had them, and typically when I grade, it's like, here's the 5 cards. I've got something out with PSA right now. It's been there forever, and I don't care. I go through a friend, and he's nervous, and I said, I don't care, man. Just relax. As long as they didn't lose them, I'm good. And the reason I went there is 2 of them are autographs. And
okay.
So I'm like, all right, I got to go there. I don't have a lot of autographs, but so it's going to be like 6 or 7 months when I get them. I thought I would have got them by now, and I see this guy quite a bit. He's like, they're in such and such stage, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Just tell me what I owe you, and we'll take care of it. So but yeah, so that'll be a 3-item reveal, and that's I've never sent 20 cards out in my life. I think the most I sent out was 10. So.
I did the whole talking about Costco hot dogs for lunch. I kind of did the math of how much you can put in before you hit the next price tier. So
right,
let's max out shipping. Let's max out this, and they've only ever dinged me for 1 card and said it was over 1,500, and that was the I think the Leaf Babe Ruth they hit me on.
Okay,
I think that's.
I remember that when you got it was authentic, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Maybe it's a 1.
It might be 1. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. But that's the only one. They're like, yeah, it's a Babe Ruth. I'm like, come on. It's
right.
1450. Like,
right. 1489.
Yeah. Like it's got to be something just under 1,500, but whatever.
What's the next level ding? Because it's like $15 or $17 to grade it. Like, do they hit you for another $50 or?
No, it wasn't even crazy. I don't know, 15, $20 more. I mean, it wasn't. Okay. It wasn't dumb.
Okay. Because I know PSA does tiers, right? So they, and that can get real stupid real fast. And I've only been upcharged once in my life. I don't even know what it was. When the guy told me what I owed him, it was one of the 2 times I went to PSA, and he gave me the number, and he's like, all right, I think it's like, I don't know, like $150 is what you owe me. I'm like, okay, I don't care, whatever. It wasn't like, hey, you owe me $500, so I didn't care.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was part of my budget, but I think I'm going to pull back on that. I was going to drop another 15 or 20 off, and I don't know. I mean, to me, I think that's about what I paid for this. So I can either drop 20 cards off or grab another Hank Aaron. So
right.
Or the Campanella. So anytime someone's like, I like those cards, I'm like, well,
don't grade. Yeah. Save on grading fees.
15 slabs or the Campanella Wilson Frank. So for me, that's my choice. But I'm glad that different people make different choices, and that's the fun of it.
Yep, exactly right. Interesting. I can tell you this: I'm thrilled that we did this right now because Kansas is about ready to lose, so I didn't have to watch any of that. My oldest daughter got her undergrad at Louisville. They lost this morning, so my tournament's pretty much over at this point. So,
ouch.
Yep, exactly. So I got to root for Illinois, I guess. So we'll see how that
goes. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, I'm glad we were able to, distract you from what would have been a tough evening.
Yes, exactly right. Well, shoot, I think this went well, right? As our first live, we'll do another one. And
I had fun. Hey, if folks didn't have fun, they don't come back and we hang out by ourselves, and I'm good at that too.
Yeah, exactly right. Right.
Yeah, well, I'll throw out to you too. If anybody wants to jump in next time, I'm kind of learning. You asked how many people are in here. Like, I don't know. I guess there's a way to find that out. So I'll have to.
Yeah.
Random.
And once I'm set up for lives, I'll square it all up and kind of figure it out, and we can flip flop back and forth like we do with Mount Rushmore too. So. Yeah,
for sure. I'm game.
All right, sir.
All right, my man.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys,
thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it, guys. It was our first live. We had a blast. I had a blast. So
yeah. Good stuff. You made the big reveal. That was not planned. That was 0% planned. So
That was
that's
zero planned. Zero planned. So that was fun. That's good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I appreciate that. That's exciting. So looking forward to seeing everybody at Strongsville. It's going to be amazing to connect. Some of you guys have been, messaging with or been on lives with and watching and commenting on your videos for sure. So I'm excited to be in the same room and shake hands and maybe swap some cards and go shopping together. So
Absolutely. It's going to be a blast. I'm excited.
absolutely. All right. Catch you all next time.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.